Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofrumento, and I'll tell you what, this is a very special episode because as all of you know, I love having family on the show, and in almost 1,000 episodes, you've heard by my family by blood. My sister has been on the show a few times. My niece and nephew have even made a few cameo appearances. I've had friends by choice, such as Nat Harward, one of my best friends in the world, on the air, and today, we're joined by my cousin, my distant cousin by marriage. This is someone who's come into our family, and I've been so excited to have another entrepreneur in the family. So let me tell you just a little bit about Rudy, who's joining us in today's episode. So Rudy Mage came into the family, and I thought to myself, gosh, this is someone who's so creative in so many ways, who's a hustler by definition. In so many ways, we're gonna relate to that aspect of his entrepreneurial journey. And this is someone who is incredibly talented artistically, business-wise, just growth mindset-wise. There's so much good stuff that we're gonna get into today. So I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Rudy Mage. All right, Rudy, dude, it is so good to have you here on the air.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. Yeah, no, we've been talking about this for a long time.
It's true. Well, I can actually tell you the day that I started to think about this episode, and that was Monique's wedding.
Yeah.
And I remember it's the first time I met you in person, walking up to you. And I said, Rudy, another entrepreneur, the heart of a hustler.
That's awesome.
Walk us through your story.
I mean, where do I start? You know, it's been a long journey. Been doing this for a really long time. As far as like the printing part of it, I started my printing company a couple years out of college. So we do screen printing, sublimation, clothing line production. So like that's been my core business, you know, since I went into entrepreneurship. Because I went to school for computer animation, but my last semester I was like, I never want to do this again in my life. I literally went up to all my teachers. I'm like, I never want to do this again. Give me the bare minimum that I need to graduate. And then from there, my buddy Jose, who's now my business partner, he introduced me to putting my drawings on t-shirts. So I started off like that, as far as just, you know, heat pressing my designs on t-shirts. And then from there I realized, you know what, everyone wants their own brand. Let me start a printing company. So that's what I did. I started a printing company to cater to all these people who wanted to start their brands. And that's where Ink Pro, you know, was developed.
Yeah, it's interesting to me thinking about Ink Pro and all the cool work that you do. And shout out, I mean, any listeners, if you're ever in the Miami area, they're gonna find you've got a legit shop there, so much equipment, so much that you've built along the way. But what I really think is you're in retail locations now. You obviously have your clothing line, Chimu, which pumping out some really cool shorts.
Thank you.
With a throwback to your Peruvian heritage. I think it's so cool how you've weaved all that in. And that's really the word that I want to launch from, is weaving all of these different things in. You're talented in a lot of ways, Rudy.
Thank
I know
you.
that.
I appreciate that.
Having seen your artwork, people can see it throughout the streets of Miami, the stuff that you've done in the city. Thinking of all of that with someone who has so many different talents, how do you shoebox yourself in? Because a lot of us entrepreneurs, we don't want to be shoeboxed. How do you view all these different things weaving together?
So one thing that I learned kind of where to the midpoint is you can't do a million things at once. Like you like, let's say, I'm going to use an example as friends that I know that are pursuing music career. You can't be a rapper, a producer, an engineer, all that. Because what you're doing is you're pushing little by little every one of those things. So grab the one that you think is the best, take that all the way to the top, and then come back and get the rest. So like, perfect example, me, I had Ink Pro, I had Rudy Mage, the artist, I had Rated Art, the venue, I had a watch line. It was just, something's gotta hit. And I was trying to do all of them at once. So what I did is I'm like, let me focus on Ink Pro. Let me take Ink Pro to the top to where it's, you know, easily operated. I can just manage it. I have my team, I have a great team. They help me with everything. So I overlook Ink Pro. Now, once I get Ink Pro to where I need it to be, I can come back and do I want to build Rudy Mage up as an artist? I tried that. Do I want to, you know, do the watches? I tried that. So now I'm doing the shorts.
Yeah, but it begs the question. I think I have the coolest job in the world, cooler than yours, because I just get to think like the entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs listening all over the world.
Yeah.
And I imagine a lot of them will hear all these different projects you're involved in and think, well, Rudy, you took a lot of swings at bat. You tried this, you tried that.
Yeah,
As
something's
you said,
gotta
something's
give.
got to hit. Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Where is it along the way, though? You talk about getting Inked Pro to a certain level. Now, obviously, you're all in on Chimu. You're hustling throughout the state of Florida and beyond. When's that decision point that you say, okay, let's add on, let's expand, but also build upon what's already working?
I guess when you're able to fund it yourself, you know what I mean? So like Chimu, a new brand, for you to build up a new brand, it takes capital. You know what I mean? All these trade shows are expensive. So normally what people would do in this scenario is they would sell off part of their businesses to you know, anyone that wants to invest. I don't want to do that. So before, I wasn't able to afford to go do a trade show for $5,000 or whatever it is. Now it's like, okay, I already have the blueprint. All these years of experience, I have the blueprint. I've failed enough times to now know that, hey, this is what you have to do to win.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's when. It's just a matter of hard work. That's it.
Yeah, Rudy, I'll tell you what, it's fun for me to know you personally for this interview, because you probably didn't think I'd bring this up, but there's one quote that always makes me think of you.
What is it?
Scared money don't make money. Talk to me about why that is so central to your philosophy.
Because my mentality is like, you have to be willing to risk. The risk factor has to be very high on your end as an entrepreneur if you ever want to succeed, because you know sometimes you have to bet on yourself, and if you're willing to bet on yourself, then whether you win or lose, it was either you know, a lesson or you succeeded at it. And like anything else, hard work always pays off. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It might take 2-3 years, it might take 10, 15 like it did to me. So if you can bet on yourself, you're already winning.
Yeah, I want to hear your perspectives on this then, because that sort of hustler's mentality, I think about it so much. I mean, you obviously know my family very well as well. Immigrant background. Obviously, my mom's side of the family came from Albania. Your family comes from Peru. You obviously have that immigrant mentality. How much is that factored into it? Because I'll interject this into the conversation so much when I look at, you know, my quote unquote American friends, the ones who grew up here, who come from families that have long lineages here. It almost feels like we started from zero, whereas they had a leg up. I view that as our advantage. It definitely factored into the way that we operate and see the world. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, my mom, my family moved over here in '88. I was about 9 years old. We came here legally, you know what I mean? So like, as far as, you know, the American dream, like that's what I am. You know what I mean? I'm legitly word by word the American dream. We came in here. I went through every single heartache, difficulty that you can think of, you know, to a point where I was gonna get deported back to my country, but then I was pardoned by the United States of America, and I did something with myself, you know, against all odds. Literally, I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. You know, so it's something that I hold dear to me, because when people like ask you those questions, it's like, fuck, I did it. Like, why can't anybody else do it? I didn't do anything. That I just worked hard. Yeah. Straight up. That's it.
Let's talk about that then, because it's something that's always stood out to me about you. You probably don't even remember this story. The first time I met you at Monique's wedding, when you and I were talking and you told me what you did, I thought to myself, well, I host a business podcast and I talk to entrepreneurs every single day of the week. Yeah. A lot of them probably need apparel. Let me send them your way. Do you remember what you said to me in that moment?
No.
You said to me, and it's stuck with me for years now, where you said, no, if you're gonna send them my way, you're gonna win too. Like, let's go in on it together. And then fast forward to Terezi, your wife, my cousin, fast forward to her surprise birthday party at your house in Miami.
Yeah.
I met all of your friends. And all of your friends so consistently, when I asked them, oh, how did you get your business off the ground? They said to me, oh, I started a workplace for medical professionals to have shared workspace. And you're from Bo. He told me, Rudy helped me. Like, I turned to Rudy and he always gives me advice and he's always there for me. It just seems to me like that is also embedded in your approach, is if you win or if you eat, everybody eats.
If you don't share, I learned this. I learned this the hard way. Is if you don't share wealth, you create animosity. So people will start looking at you and they'll want your lifestyle. You know what I mean? You have to make sure that you share. You share. It's just if everybody eats, you know, everybody's gotta eat. So it's a hierarchy. So if you're at the top, you gotta disperse this. I learned that the hard way. So now more than ever, it's, hey, there's this amount of money to be made. You do this, you do that, you do this, and then, you know, I get paid for telling people to do things, but I spread it away. Or else I'm gonna slave to make that type of money. That's how my mentality was before. Oh, yo, you can make $5,000 off of this. You know what? I'm gonna do everything. Everything, and then kill yourself. Other than being like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give you $1,000. I'm gonna give you $500. You know, you eat on this, and then they're happy. And dude, you really didn't have to, you know, do that much.
It's interesting though, because it is one of the hardest lessons to learn as entrepreneurs. We talk about the abundance mindset versus scarcity. And coming back to the immigrant topic, I don't know what it was like in your household. I remember my parents always saying, money doesn't grow on trees. It's easy to think from a scarcity perspective, where obviously as entrepreneurs, we've grown, we've learned, we've had these hard knock life lessons. And so I think that's where along the way we realize everything is abundant. Opportunity is abundant, money is abundant, everything is. Where did that come? Because Rudy, you and I are sitting on a podcast episode talking about these things, but implementing it, learning it, that's the hard part.
I feel like I watched my mom struggle, and my mom put in work, like from sales to this to that, like, so she, without even knowing, implemented that into, you know, me, my sister, and my brother. All three of us, or my sister is incredibly successful lawyer, you know, attorney, partner, you know, my brother too. So all three of us, we watched that and we took that into consideration, and then just, you know, implemented that into our own lives. So
yeah. I'll interject this as well, because obviously nothing happens by mistake in life. And you talk about looking at other examples. There's a level of intentionality, at least what I can see from the outside of your businesses, that with Chimu, you know exactly what you're doing. You know what trade shows you're going to be at, even your social media content, everything is consistent and intentional. Where's that foresight come from? Do you take executive time to yourself, where on Sunday you tell Terezi, you say, hey, I'm gonna go to the office and just sit there and think? How do you strategize that?
Oh no, like we don't. We just, we wing it. Nothing is planned, nothing is strategized. Me and Aaron, sometimes I'll be like, a lot of the content we do is our own. I've been like, yo, Aaron, it's fucking Wednesday. Let's go have lunch in South Beach. Bring 5 pairs of shorts. I'm gonna bring 5 pairs of shorts, 5 shirts, and then let's just shoot content. And that's what we do. We'll have lunch, and I'm like, all right, cool, stand there. And we've learned that the content, we don't have to pay people to do that right now. It's you can do a lot of that stuff yourself on your iPhone.
Yeah,
all the stuff that we're doing, iPhone. It's
so to those people,
budget's not there right now, you know?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of entrepreneurs right now are convincing themselves there are barriers to these things, and that's why I said at the top of the episode, you're a hustler by nature. It's the way that you operate. You'll just go and do it and figure the rest out later. What are some of those things that have hit? Because I think I want to make it clear to listeners today that not everything hits. We try a lot of things. Some work, some don't work. What have been some of the most instrumental things for you, even looking backwards, that you've thought, I'm glad I tried that?
I've learned never to design for myself. Like never just go based on like what you like, because what I like might not be what anybody else likes. Some of our biggest hits have been shorts that I'm like, fuck, I hate those. Those are hideous. Why did we even design those? Hey, let's just put them out there and see what they think. Oh, I love them because we did little. What is it when you get a group of people to
like a focus group?
There you go, focus group. So I did that. I put a line sheet full of shorts, and then I send it out to, I don't know, 100 people. Hey, send me from 1 to 5, what's your favorite ones? And that's what happened. I'm like, damn, really? So, what were we talking about?
Yeah, things that have worked for you along the way that you've tried. So one is for sure, don't design for yourself. Love that advice for listeners.
Yeah.
What else has worked? Come on, Rudy. I know your background. I know that once upon a time you were hustling out of the trunk of your car.
I still do that.
You do? Okay, talk to us about that.
I mean, because it's just a different trunk, but people, when I pull up to the gym, I'm like, hey, I do shorts, so that's what I do. I pass on my business card. I give people, my information, and then to my friends. A lot of my friends are not gonna want to go on the website and order it and wait for that. So I'm like, I pull up. I'm like, oh, you like my shorts? Cool. Come outside. I have my trunk full of them. What size are you? I have sold more shorts out of my trunk in the past 6 months than stores and websites put together.
See, I always love that type of story because I feel like within the world of entrepreneurship, a lot of people obsess about scale and they say, oh, I only want to do things that scale. I've always believed when you do things that don't scale, it gives you a business worth scaling.
Yeah.
Rudy, you clearly don't care about scale. How do you view it though? Because I also know you dream big and you picture Chimu being a massive thing, and it's cool to see that trajectory so far. What does scale mean to you? What is the growth path you're on?
To me, the growth has to come, I'm not trying to go from 0 to 100 immediately. I want to go, from 0 to 10, from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30. So that comes, it takes years. And I'm okay with that because I'm building a brand. I've learned the hard way that, you gotta pace yourself. You gotta pace yourself. There's no fast way to success. If you believe in it, stick with it. Nobody said it was gonna be easy. So, like now, after failing for such a long time, learning for so many years, I have the blueprint. I've learned the blueprint. I know that, okay, you wanna be wholesale, you have to do these trade shows. Trade shows are 3 days. Miami, Las Vegas, New York, California, but you gotta have money to be able to do those trade shows. Most people will go out and get loans and stuff like that. Luckily, I'm able to, all right, I'll take care of this, and then I'll get paid on the back end when we do have orders. Right now, you're trying to build an infrastructure. We need stores. We need stores throughout the U.S. We just did the Surf Expo, like 2-3 weeks ago. I was just at the Surf Expo. This is our second year doing it. Our first year, we didn't get any orders. We didn't have enough SKUs. This second year, now, we're gonna be, this is the first time I'm even telling anybody. We're gonna be selling at the airport, Miami International Airport. We got a store there that's gonna be selling us there. We just got a PO for Alabama. We have, Oklahoma interested. It's just like that. Little by little, you build your little network. That's how you build brands. So now we're gonna do a project show, Las Vegas. We're gonna do Las Vegas in February, then the Surf Expo again in January, and just that. Just put in work.
Yeah, I love it. Only thing I'll complain about is the fact that Tampa has not worked its way into your schedule just yet.
I haven't seen any trade shows here.
Convention center every single weekend, Rudy?
Yes, but what type of conventions? It has to be something
I'll get you a list.
I'm sure. I'm there.
But I want to pick on one thing that you just said in that answer because it reveals a lot about your mentality. And you and I both like chess, and it's a quote that I learned from chess, which is you either win or you learn.
Correct.
And when you talk about learning as those failures and reframing those failures, one of those things, there's a lot of mindset challenges that we all face as entrepreneurs. We're impatient. We're the instant gratification society. We also question ourselves. We question and we compare to others. And I've been in this journey for 16 years now as an entrepreneur. You've been at it for a long time as well. Have you had those moments, Rudy? These are the conversations listeners have gotten used to on this show, is that have you had those moments where you look at your friends from school or you look at your friends in Miami and you think, gosh, would it have been easier to just get a job? Like, would it have been easier to go on a different path? Give us some insights into the way the mind of Rudy works.
No, I wouldn't trade this for anything. I see now a lot of people that have these regular jobs and they hate everything about it. They hate to wake up in the morning and go to work. That to me is horrible. You know, like the definition to me of success is just being able to wake up every day and do whatever you want, you know, and be happy about it. Like, I cannot imagine have gone a different route. I've had jobs 9 to 5. I've done everything. I've gym memberships. I've done door-to-door sales. I've sold everything you can think of. I'm not trying to mention things.
Well, then let me ask you this, Rudy, because all of those experiences, of course, built the Rudy that's sitting here today, which enables you to do the things you do. What are some of those things you didn't even realize you were picking up along the way that now you look back and you go, gosh, that's part of who I am? For me, it's soccer. Like growing up playing soccer, I realized the things that happen on the field play into the person I am today and the way I show up in the world. What are some of those things that you didn't realize that now you do?
I mean, I played soccer in high school. Also, I still play soccer. I mean, you know, your work ethic has to just be, you know, on point. No matter what it is that you do. As far as entrepreneurship, you control everything. You are you control how much money you make. If you don't want to work, you don't make money. If you want to work harder, you make more money. So those are the lessons I learned, was the work ethic. And along with that, once you reach a level of success, freedom comes with it. And that is success. Not the amount of money that you have, it's the amount of freedom that you have to do whatever you want. Because some people might be happy, you know, making $60,000 a year. Some people might be happy making $6 million a year. It doesn't matter, it's just freedom.
I'm gonna put you on the spot then while we're on the air together, Rudy. And that is, you love working hard, but you also love playing hard. Talk to us about that delicate balance.
I play a lot harder than I work. I mean, I've worked hard for a really long time. I have my moments where, like, let's say I have to go to Peru for 3-4 days. That's the entire day, boom, 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 and then I'll go on vacation for 3-4 days. So it's a balance. It's a balance. Making time for yourself is good for everything. You know, it resets you. So traveling has to be part of your life. That's why I went to the whole, you know, the freedom to wake up and do whatever you want. I need to work, I work. I want to take the wife on vacation and the family, we're out. And there's nothing that's going to stop that.
Yeah, listeners, if you follow Rudy on Instagram, you will see his vacations and you will see what he means by freedom. So Rudy, we'll definitely drop your Instagram at the end of today's episode. But I also want to ask you, I don't usually ask this question on the air, but just knowing what I do about you and the fact that in Miami, you're surrounded by other entrepreneurs, you're surrounded by the hustler spirit in so many different ways in Miami. I felt that energy in Los Angeles as well when I lived there. There's certain things, though, that being 16 years into this journey, I can immediately identify in newer entrepreneurs and think to myself, those aren't the things that matter. Like, you've got that all wrong. What are some of those things that you see from your vantage point?
So, social media, people think now that social media is like your only key to building a brand or being successful. I can care less. To me, I'm old school. I feel like you need to knock on doors, you need to shake people's hands. Posting a video on social media ain't shit. You know what I mean? Because if views have to equal to sales. But to me, the relationships are built knocking on doors, meeting on people. You know what I mean? That's why I do the trade shows, because you never know what buyer you're gonna meet. You know, you think that the buyer for, you know, Nordstrom, Dick's Sporting Goods is fucking looking at your video on Instagram and being like, oh yeah, can't wait to, you know. No, they're at the trade shows, and you gotta go and shake their hands and be like, hey, I'm such and such. This is my brand. Here's a boom, email. Like, so instant gratitude has become very easy now. People think, oh, I'm gonna start a clothing brand. I'm gonna print 12 t-shirts, and this is, no, you don't have a brand. You have 12 t-shirts. So.
Yeah, it's fun for me to hear you think strategically as far as business-wise, because you and I don't normally talk about these things. Yeah. But I know, of course, that you're very opportunistic. I mean, when I think about during the pandemic, you identified a need for masks, and you were hitting up colleges saying, let's put your logos on them, and they ate that up. And what I also think about is how you moved from kind of only consumer level with t-shirts out of the trunk of your car to enterprise level. I mean, I know you won't say it here on the air because you're humble about the cool things that you do, but you've got huge clients that turn to you for their needs. Where did that identification come from, where you said, okay, I don't just have to sell to consumers, let's think big, let's go enterprise level?
That was all the relationships I had. It's all those. I mean, I did shirts for the Super Bowl, but that came through my friend Lila that I've known for years, you know. So she's like, hey, boom, I know someone that does t-shirts. I have worked with, you know, people in the music industry, NFL, NBA, but all those came from somebody. Hey, Rudy, here, that's what I mean by networking. That's what I mean by knowing people. Your network is your net worth.
Yeah, knowing you though, I know that you don't view it as transactional. You genuinely value those relationships. So watchers can't see him off screen right now, but you're joined here today in Tampa by one of your best friends from Miami, Sergio, who didn't put his phone on silent mode to kick today's interview off. But let's talk about those relationships, because how do you nurture them? How do you follow up with them? Rudy, I can't keep as big of a network as you, my man.
So the difference is, most of my really close friends have nothing to do in my industry. You know what I mean? Sergio, Javier, Tony, all my really close little small circle of friends are nothing in my industry. As far as my industry, I have my close friends that I've watched struggled with, you know, putting work. Like guys that, when I was starting my printing company, they were starting their film career, their photographer career, their entrepreneurship, and all of us have literally watched each other just go boop, 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 you know, level up throughout all the years, and we stayed friends. So now, 20 years later, it's like, hey, I called Derek, what are you doing? I'm shooting for Nike, I'm shooting for LeBron, I'm shooting, you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, I'm doing a music video for Kodak Black. Like, those are the friends, you know? Photographers, hey, I'm shooting a commercial for, you know, such and such hotel. Like, that's where we're at. But it's years of hard work, and then when you run into each other, it's like, you never skip the beat. It's just like, what's new? And the best, when people tell you nothing, is like, fuck, really? Nothing's new? Because you can ask me what's new any day of the week, and I'm gonna tell you something different. So that's I love that.
Yeah, for sure. Which speaks to one of our favorite principles behind the show, which is you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you want to see how much money you're going to make, look at who you're hanging out with. You want to see your fitness levels, you want to see anything, look at the company that you keep. Along those lines, Rudy, what's it take? As someone who's meeting 1 million people, how do you filter out this person I want to keep in touch with and stay on top of? This person, okay, I'll just file them away. Do you have some sort of organizational system? It feels funny asking you that, Rudy, but give us some insights.
I'm big on vibes, dude. Like that's why I like to, you know, meet people, because I'll know very quickly if I like you or not. That's just me. I'm a Scorpio. I don't know. I have like this fucking, you know, weird thing. Honesty is key. You know, don't bullshit. always be 100, whether it's what they want to hear or not. Just always keep it real. And that's like the best advice I can always give people, because most people that have been, you know, in it for a long time will be able to very quickly read your bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. Don't be coming up in Libra season with your Scorpio energy, man. Well, Rudy, this is so much fun for me. I'll tell you what, I always ask this question at the end of every episode, and it's fun with you because I know that you have so many thoughts, and obviously I see them in the way that you show up in Instagram and just in our casual conversations, but that is, what's your one best piece of advice? Knowing that listeners from over 150 countries are tuning in at all different stages of their business growth, what's that one thing that you hope they take away from today's episode?
Never give up on a dream, you know what I mean? And work extremely hard. Like, just, it's like I said it earlier, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's it. You know what I mean? Honesty, don't fuck people over. Don't ever fuck people over, because that shit will come back to haunt you somewhere down the line. So, work hard, be honest, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna pile on that for listeners, because when Rudy gives you that advice, he's not just saying it's a matter of if not, or it's a matter of when, not if. He's saying that, but also believing it. And I think that that's at the core of who you are, Rudy.
To follow that up with, I would, you have to speak into existence. I was just talking about this with the wife. At my hardest fucking times, I would go into the bathroom in tears, and I would look at myself in the mirror, and I would tell, you are gonna be successful. This is only temporary. You are gonna make it. I would do that shit all the time. I tell that to people now as like, I sound crazy, but I speak into existence. So that's when I said it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you want it, it's already yours. That's it. It's a matter of how long it takes. It's already yours. You have to believe it's already yours.
Heck yeah, I love that. Rudy, you owe us some links for listeners who want to check out all the incredible things that you're doing business-wise, your personal social media links. Chimu, you've got to drop those shorts. Whether you like all the designs or not, let listeners decide, so drop those links on us.
My personal Instagram, Rudy_Mage. The shorts is at Chimu Dynasty. And then the printing company is at Inked Pro.
Yes, listeners, you already know the drill. We're making it as easy as possible for you to find all of Rudy's links down below in the show notes, wherever it is that you're tuning into today's episode. Rudy, very much on behalf of myself and all of our listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.